honor to Reverend Grant, your minister, and to all of those on the committee for African American history who invited me here. It's a pleasure, extra pleasure, because my good relative, Dorothy Clarkson, is here. And Dorothy, oh, my heart is just beating with love because I see you here. And thinking of J.B. Clarkson and what Convent Avenue Baptist Church represented to me as a child. J.B. Clarkson worked hard here. He was a deacon. And Dorothy Clarkson worked hard here as well. I grew up in Baptist Temple as a Sunday school teacher, teaching the Bible, and that good work that my parents did, that my mother, Mary Robinson, continued with, was such that the Spirit of God was always with me. And so that when there was trials and tribulations, what I have to say is that through it all, it was not necessarily the bio that you heard of Yale University and of all of the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the studies and the research that got me over, but it was what my mother and father and what my people represented, who praised the Lord, not just like a bump on the log, but they were active Baptists. You know, the Baptists have the emotional and the feelings that come out and reach out to you. And so on 115th Street where we lived, I was the oldest girl, and so I used to go shopping on Saturday mornings in a supermarket that was 116th Street in those days and Lenox Avenue. And as I would come out, I would be wheeling the groceries all around to go to 115th Street. Malcolm X would be standing on that corner giving his lectures and talks. And so that I stood there because he was so magnanimous, and he was drawing you so much with the words. And so I stood there and listened to him. The men would be up close, but a little kid could go around the side with the groceries, stand there half an hour, and then go on down the block. And so I had a lot of the rich culture of Harlem. I remembered Malcolm X, and I remembered the Garveyites. In the building where I lived, it was the Father Divine and Daddy Grace in the same building. Around the corner was the Yoruba people. And so my life was set to maintain the God that I knew. So no matter how many of the many trips I took, I began with Dr. James Robinson of Operation Crossroads Africa, but my heart was always one-track mind for Jesus Christ. And so that no matter what happened, whether it was the cultures of the world coming together or whatnot, I was always back looking for the Jesus light and element, the Jesus love that continued to get me across. So that sometimes when I took a test, I remember taking the test to go to Yale University, and I heard the voice of God say, it didn't matter whatever I put down, although I think I put down the right answers. God meant for me to go there, and then when I was not just being saved, but having that next step of salvation where you feel that you have the Holy Ghost and the fire of God, I remember saying, oh, this is so wonderful, the love of God that floods through your being, that melts anything that's hard and nasty and gets rid of your animosity quick and fast and keeps you on the right path. I said, Lord, I love you so much. And I said, I'm going to get rid of these objects. Those were museum objects. And I was in museum studies at Yale. And I said, I'm going to get rid of all of this. I'll even give up. I won't even go to Yale anymore. I love you so much. I'll just sit down and love you. And then I heard the voice of the Lord said, no, you will not. Your mission will be to separate the wheat from the chaff. So that many of those objects that our ancestors produced, many of them were not necessarily idols. An idol is anything you put in the place of God supreme. It could be your car. It could even be a picture of Martin Luther King where you always say, I used to march, I used to you. What are you doing now? Are you worshiping God? If not, that picture is an idol. And so that I began to see even terrible-looking objects that had nails all in them, and understanding that each nail represented a court case. And so that each nail was as if it was part of the long list of those who had died that was just mentioned as part of our rich ancestry, that they were court dealings and court cases, and that life is not always a bed of roses, but sometimes there are some vicious things that we have to overcome. So that same chapter 6 in Ephesians is one that talks about putting on the whole armor of God, so that we'll be full of strength to go against the wiles of the devil and the wiles of evil, so that we sometime must look in the face of the evil, those that were killed, and stand up and affirm the righteous and the good and continue in what we're doing.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. As you see, that was Dr. Rosalind Jeffries. We have her second half here today, Professor
Rosalind Robinson Jeffries, Doctor.
And we have Doc here on time today. And reason why I showed this, Doc, because you know that's my home church there, Convent Avenue Baptist Church. I've been going there since 42 on my mama's knee. All right? My grandmother, pastor of Reverend Saunders, she went to his church in Camden, New Jersey. So when Saunders came up the hill to Convent in 42, we lived around the corner, 147th Street in Amsterdam.
Right.
So my mother naturally came to that church.
Wow.
So seeing her there and talk about, you know, Harlem in the day, when all the cultures were surrounding us and we were fulfilled with this religiosity, what do we call it, you know, the Spirit of God. And you know, we can see how she comes out of Sunday school and in the Baptist church, and she hooks up with you and runs off to Africa.
And it was the Africa, Reverend Robinson, who even married us later. And we were just talking about names, and so some people contacted us that they are a part of our family. In other words, she went to a program where a preacher was giving a fantastic presentation. After we sat down and we had you know, the meal after the presentation, come to find out they are blood cousins. Wow. And so then she began to talk about different family members, and there was a Saunders who played with the Celtics, who was from South Carolina but played with the Celtics, and that was part of her family. And so, yeah, we're into family now in a big way. And so I'm glad that, anybody strange can just pop into the studio without, I got my martial arts, I'm ready though.
Well, careful, he's got something on his hip. We got Graham coming to the studio. He's only 5 minutes late.
It is about family, and it is about spirituality, and it is about taking from your ancestral formation and then planning a meaningful future.
But you see how she talks about the early beginnings on 116th Street?
Yes, 115th,
and all that
116th Street.
You know, this is being Black History Month. I love the way she talks about the spirit and how we have to have the full armor of God. Now, the reason why we're here today is to combat the situation in the 21st century.
Yes.
I know you're going to relate back to 1619.
But that Spirit of God is the foundation.
Right.
But some people define God as something under their armpits or something that they control.
Well, here
and the concept of the Creator is too broad, too magnificent to limit it to one perspective. People get one little bit of it and they say, oh, this is it. No, this is not the whole thing. That's like you and the 5 blind men dealing with that elephant.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody got a leg and they say, ooh, it's a big thing. And another person got a tail. Oh, no, it's not a big thing. And then somebody got a tusk. And so we get a little bit of it, and then we refashion our thinking too narrowly. We do not see the larger universe and the Creator. Creator must be much more magnificent than any one of us. Personally, when you talk about the universe, and the universe is on top of the universe, So fortunately, we are now moving with spirit in ways that we have not done before. I'm so high, I don't know what to do. I just came, this is my second time back in here. I was in New York here at 10 o'clock this morning. I made it to the courthouse because we're fighting for the legacy of Mother Keffer. Mother Keffer, who was ripped off. Mother Keffer, who had given so much, coming up from Georgia, and had helped her with her partner Bill set up the First Wheel Alliance. And that became the symbol of putting the knowledge in the community, not only for us in New York and in California and Georgia, but in Brazil and in the Caribbean and in Europe. And so Mother Keffer was a special, special foundation source for us. And the people who got a hold of her didn't allow her to have a proper funeral. She's buried in an unmarked grave in South Jersey. And so this, I had to get that off my chest, but we're going to rectify that. Things are happening, we're going to rectify that. She's going to get the proper burial, the proper recognition, et cetera. But it's not easy. Frederick Douglass said it best: if there is no struggle, there's no progress. And Frederick had to have a God consciousness in order to do what he did. He came up out of slavery, beat back his slavers, and then became a symbol of the struggle for slavery. And if you have El-Haj Malik, El Shabazz, you got the autobiography of Malcolm X. But Malcolm's father comes out of a spiritual process and a process with the Garveyites. And the same thing would be true of now we got this brother from Jamaica. This is from Kingston to Kenya. And this brother was born January 19th on my birthday, but I unfortunately was born on his birthday. He was born 1917. This is Ambassador Dudley Thompson. He's he was born when my grandfather was destroyed and murdered by the Klan. But in my last 20 or 25 years of my life, he was my grandfather. And he died here in Harlem at 96.
Wow.
And so, but here he is with Jomo Kenyatta. He helped to save Jomo Kenyatta and the Mau Mau movement. He was a partner of Nkrumah, and the other a partner of Julius Nyerere. He spent years as the strongest member of the Jamaican government, the Manley government. And so, and he comes from a deep root in Jamaica, born in Panama of Jamaican parents. So we have to be able to see the family. And the person who's captured it better than anybody else is Dr. John Henry Clark.
Oh, of course.
And so here we have Africans at the crossroads. We still are in that situation. And his great work, this is a revised edition, is Notes for an African World Revolution. And he talks about the unfinished revolution of Nkrumah, of Lumumba, of Malcolm, of Maboya, the revolution in Kenya. So what links all of these brothers is the spiritual component. They may have had a revolutionary consciousness. They may have had a consciousness in which they could beat back people using whatever military force they could gather. But all of them are spiritually connected with this rise of African people, this growing consciousness. So you opened it up, right? Rosin is an extraordinary spirit. I don't think I could do half the things I have done if I didn't have a partner who was. Well,
that's why I wanted to show. I wanted to show everybody your source of energy.
Well, you better believe it. She got up this morning at 6 to get out at 7 to go to teach in the School of Visual Arts. She's probably finishing up her last classes from 3 to 6, and then she'll be going home. And she'll need a day of rest, so she'll do her praying, and then she'll have a day of rest.
Well, this piece is from 2003. So that's 16 years ago.
But that was a good year. 2003, we were
2004, one.
2003 or 4, we were in West Africa. We were in Ethiopia. 2003 or 4, we took Hakeem Jeffries, the congressman's younger brother, and his wife. We took him to Brazil with his wife and her mother, who's a medical doctor, and her sister. I took about 10 people to Brazil. We went there not to gawk and to look, but for the spiritual connection with the largest black population in the Western world is in Brazil. And so we went there to connect. And what did we find? all of the greatness of Rio is there. The beautiful beaches, Ipanema and Copacabana, and the hotels and the villas along the coast. And then the mountainside, you see the favelas. That's where the African and the mixed population live. But overlooking all of Rio is a statue of Jesus.
Right.
Jesus the Redeemer with his hands outstretched, given by the Italians from one of the strongest Catholic nations, Italy, to the largest Catholic nation, Brazil. And the fantastic thing is that it was given in the 30s. And so when you go to Rio, you want to go up, call it Corcovado, you take the tram up and you get up there. I've been up there. 88, we first went to Brazil. 92 to Brazil. 95. Every few years we go to Brazil. And each time you go to Corcovado, and I could feel a presence. And they always ask me, how do you feel, Dr. I say, well, this is a duality. Here's the black population living in the hills, and there is the white population living along the beaches and whatnot. But there's a spiritual force here that I can't explain. Well, in 2003, for the first time, they opened up the pedestal on which Jesus the Redeemer has been placed. And that pedestal, in it, is the shrine of the Black Madonna. And so wherever you go, there it is. Whoop, there it is.
Wow.
And so that's why we got to be. And we have a copy of the shrine in our china closet. And Hassan filmed it, you know, these young fellows. And sisters know how to film. So I was up, beating up on my nephew. I said, Hassan, how come we don't have any pictures of your trip that we took you to Brazil and your beautiful wife and her mother? Well, he said, Uncle Lenny, I sent you an album, not a picture or two. And sure enough, I had not opened it up. It was an album with dozens of pictures of us moving in Brazil. At one point, we were in Pelourinho. That's one section of Bahia. And all of a sudden, we were trying to relax in a cafe, sipping a mint julep or something. And here comes some noise through the streets, some drumming and some dancing and whatnot. Now, it's the Brazilian. They have these dance bands through the streets. But who was following them? A whole group of students from Morehouse College in Atlanta, and Hassan had graduated from Morehouse.
Right.
So that lifted his spirit. And then we go to another part of Bahia, and there you have Olagun. And Olagun is another type of street dance, and they march through the streets. And so we were marching through the streets with them, and all of a sudden here comes this fellow out of his shop and runs up to me and gives me a hug. And so, you know, I'm used to getting hugs everywhere. You know, it's not a gay thing, it's a real thing. Just give a fellow a hug. And so he did. And so then he leaves me and runs back and goes back into his shop. And then the next thing I know, he comes out with a magazine, a Merge magazine, with me on the cover. Now, see, that's the type, when you talk about spirit, that's the type of thing you have to understand. I have a picture of me and Rosalind with the priestess in the mountains of Brazil, where the spirit of Zumbi is. You know, the first free nation in the Western world was Brazil, 1600 to 1694. And the communities in the mountains formed their own free communities. And then the slaving system came in and, you know, zapped Brazil and all these countries. But I was afraid that the bus was not going to make it. You know, you fly from Rio or one of the Sao Paulo up north, northeast to Maceió. And then you get into a train and it takes you to the foot of the mountain. And then you take a bus up the mountain. And then you celebrate with them every November 20th the spirit of Zumbi, the revolutionary spirit of the leader who gave his life in the struggle. I got off halfway up the mountain, and half the bus got off with me because I said, this rickety bus ain't gonna make it. So as we walked up the mountain, it took us another hour or two to get up to the mountain. The ceremony was over. But these beautiful black priestess and the Babalao got together, about 20 of them, and they said, the spirit of Zumbi has arrived. And they said, we have to do the ceremony over, which is unprecedented. And they did. And they gave me the Ogun beads. In other words, they had a ceremony around my presence as they felt it. And they gave me the blue and white Ogun beads, the spirit of war and struggle. Now, they didn't know I was in a struggle over the curriculum inclusion. Everybody was trying to get a piece of me to destroy me.
Well,
and,
why don't you update us and bring us home and pay attention to home? You're running around the world making everybody else happy. Well, what about us here?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because that's the way, unfortunately, that's the way it is. I was trying to get some things together early in the morning, and I get a call from Africa, Professor James Small. He's working on a hotel and other businesses and the relationship of Black America to Africa. And then yesterday when I was trying to get some things together, dealing with Malcolm and the film and whatnot that came out about him, Brother Sabu had
What'd you think about the film?
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Brother Sabu had said they're going to do something on the 21st at the 165th Street.
The Armory?
Right, where Malcolm was eliminated.
Oh, you're talking about the hall?
Yes. And so Brother Sabu has said, I said, look, I got another thing to do that day, but I'm going to try to do both things. And then I get a call from Turkey, Ilyasha Shabazz, Malcolm's third daughter,
I haven't seen
saying that it would be great, because I said I would help Shabu and them participate in the ceremony they have on the 21st. And so here she's calling to say she's in Turkey, she'll be back on Friday, and you know, we'll talk on these things. But so I'm saying that our family connection and our reality is global. Here too, Ilyasha just finished doing, you know, she did to complement the autobiography of Malcolm X, she did the manuscripts with Herb Boyd.
Oh,
and
Herb was here last week.
Yes, and so I'm saying that American nationality is something that if you have it, you use it. But you are not defined by the nationality of America. Right. I spent all day yesterday, 10 hours looking at the History Channel and the story of America and Washington. And even with black people like Powell, Colin Powell, and these other black sisters who are scholars, they can't deal with the reality of what this nation was. You know, the nation was founded on slavery, not freedom, justice, and equality.
We're trying to change it.
And, but we have to.
Let's update ourselves to talk about what's happening today.
You have to have knowledge in order to be able to make the type of change you need.
How do we apply all this to what's happening now?
For one thing, since I've been teaching for the last 50 years, now, of course, you have to shout out to Dr. J, you couldn't be teaching for 50 years. You can't be that old. Yes, I am, 83. And I'm free now to kick butt and raise the real issues and put it on there. The nation was founded, all of the founding fathers were slave master bastards, including Benjamin Franklin, who you would think is the one who wasn't involved. No, because he didn't have a plantation.
We got Trump in the White House. How do we handle Trump in the White House? We got a slave master in the White House. How do we unite our nations to deal with what we got to deal with now?
Unfortunately, you're suffering from a paralysis of analysis.
Well,
hold it. Trump is not the problem. Trump is a manifestation of a much deeper problem. And so if you think you're going to get us to focus on Trump, and then when he's out of the way, then we think that we've done something.
There's another one right behind.
That's right.
Well, let's deal with one at a time.
The system, no, you have to deal with them collectively. The system, and you do that with a system capability. If you do not have a system capability, stay out of the way because they have a system. Capitalism emerged as a system in the 1500s, and in the 1600s it became specialized around sugar and then later around cotton. It's a system. All of the slave master bastards, Washington, Jefferson, the thing was talking about how they loved the land. Land was but land don't mean nothing if you ain't working it. So if Jefferson and Washington were caught up in this land thing, it was because they had hundreds of Africans to work the land for them. And not only work the land for them, to take care of any carpentry that needed to be done, take care of any blacksmithing that needed, any masonry. The breasts of our black women nurtured their children. Their healing hands took care of their elderly. So here we are, considered not even human, but we're doing the most human things to lay a foundation for this nation. So that's the analysis we have. Forget about Trump. He's the worst thing that we've had since last week, but he ain't the worst thing. Look, Andrew Jackson, they did a whole story with Andrew Jackson, the slaughter of the Native Americans. And so...
relate the past to present. Yeah, update yourself, Doc. Come to the 21st century.
Where's that little smile you had on your face when you was talking about Convent Avenue Baptist Church? Look at him now.
Yeah.
He done got heavy.
He went back 40 years.
The thing is,
I went back
update. Do you understand this is a part of the update? Do you understand this is Dr. John Henry Clark, who didn't have a PhD, didn't have a master's, couldn't even go to school. But he produced this work, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, Slavery and the Rise of European Capitalism. And then he said, Dr. J. What's that?
We're talking about Trump and today. How does that
Trump
relate to
is the leading capitalist in the damn world. Don't you understand?
Exactly.
We're saying, how did capitalism become capitalism? Not by a Trump. It's a system of super exploitation, and slavery laid the foundations of it.
Okay.
The whole slave system from the Dutch and the English and the Germans and whatnot. You're talking about a system. Dr. Clark told me to do an introduction of this because I have this thing of the 50-year turning point in history and a 500-year, and he has a 500-year turning point of history.
How do we build our future?
You have to have a systems analysis. You don't focus on an individual. You don't focus on an incident.
It's not Trump. Eddie Glaude, Dr. Eddie Glaude from Princeton University.
Represents his administration, how they're dealing with capitalism today.
Listen to what the doctor is saying.
I'm listening to the doctor.
Dr. Eddie Glaude did a piece on MSNBC about 3 months ago. And he's sitting there with these white commentators. He said, listen, stop talking about Trump. He, as you said, is the byproduct of this system. This system existed before him. It'll exist after he's gone. He said, don't act like Donald Trump is some anathema of reality. He is what this country is. It's just that he is now come to the forefront.
We've got a chance to change it.
Look at the people running for president.
Well, hear me out. I know
Winston,
all the story.
Look at the people running for president.
Forever.
You got Bernie, who they call a socialist.
Right.
Right?
So that already put the stamp on him.
They're trying to rule him out as a socialist because he's not a capitalist.
Right.
Capitalism is about one thing: me, myself, and I, and greed.
And making
How do
money
we stop
by
it?
any means necessary.
And as long as you have capitalism running, you're not going to be able to get into a communal atmosphere.
Give me a solution.
You're not going to stop it. That you had to have.
So there's no hope?
No, there's hope, but you had to have an analysis. You have China, Red China, that was born out of the struggle of Mao Zedong. They became an independent, free nation in 1949.
Okay.
Now you have China that's a composite. It's not Mao Zedong. Economically, China is capitalist. Our billions and billions have fed China, so they are one of the leading capitalists and the future of capitalism. But politically, economics, politics, and culture is the key to any system. Politically, they are ruled by a communist party. So Mao Zedong's political beliefs are controlling this capitalist system, the largest capitalist system ever in the history of the world.
So there's no way of changing it?
And let me finish what I'm saying. Economics is the basic principle. Politics is the complementary of economics. Culture is the key. And the culture of the Chinese is not Protestantism, it's not Catholicism, it is not Voodooism, Confucianism. And their great, old, deep traditions tell them what type of economics they have and who to do their culture. So you can be worried about a Trump, but you better be worried about a China. And what China is doing now, not only in the little struggles that we see, China has decided that it is going to take the African continent and make it the source of its great wealth.
They've taken it.
And we're saying, I ain't African. Well, I'm an African descendant. I'm a descendant of slaves. No, you're not. That slavery is not a descent. That's an accident that your family might have been caught up in. So economics, politics, and culture is where we have to go. We are economically very powerful. We don't know how to use it. politically. There are different political vehicles that you can use to make your economics work for you. And culturally, you have to be African. If you have half the black people denying that they're African, half the ball game is lost. I ain't lost nothing in Africa. You lost your mind.
When I was in the Gambia in '07, the Chinese were already in Africa.
That's right.
I had an article, I can't remember what magazine it was in, but it was a 60-page article on China taking over the African continent.
Yes.
In every country. Not only in Africa, they're here. Smithfield Meats, which is the largest meat packing company in the United States, is owned by China.
Right.
So what
High
capitalism
technology.
has done, because they will sell their mother for $1,
That's right.
they will sell to anybody. They'll sell to their enemy to make $1, while their enemy comes right in there under their roof and takes them out from the inside. This is what's happening in the United States. All these Chinese businessmen you see here, they bought the Waldorf Astoria, they're buying everything.
right.
These businessmen are not self-made. They are funded by the Chinese government.
Right.
And everything they're buying is owned by the Chinese government.
All right, let me run a little piece about America.
What happened to the
Okay?
smile that you had coming into the program?
I'm smiling. I'm looking for
hey.
answers. You tell me what happened
System.
yesterday.
But you know, the answer
wanna
will come
talk
when
about
you
what's
develop
happening. I got a
a
problem
serious
here.
systems
The
analysis.
Gilchrist experience, all right? You know, I'm
Gilchrist experience.
experienced.
How Gilchrist? Wakanda forever. And Black Power.
Hey.
And the Ka.
I'm
And the
gonna be here
African
forever.
tradition.
Boom shakalaka.
I'm a New
Boom
Yorker.
shakalaka.
That's my homeland right here. Run the next piece and we'll be right back at
Yo,
you.
he's serious. He's serious. Don't own a brick in New York and talk about this is his homeland. People coming in bringing their money from everywhere, buying every block of Harlem,
And the
every
Africans
building.
are here. I see a bunch of Africans here.
Yeah, but they don't have the consciousness.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
The reason why I play this is that I feel like I'm a disciple of Martin. You know, I feel that energy. I saw He saw his death coming. He's dedicated
What do
to...
you mean he saw it coming?
You said it right there.
What happened? What did he say?
What do you say? I've seen the coming...
He was told that, Negro, unless you denounce your own self, because we have the tapes of you and women, unless you take your own life, we're going to take it. I've been to the promised land. I've seen the future of my people. And you're not going to get me to sell myself and my people out.
Okay.
That's what that's about. That's not seeing some clouds in the sky. J. Edgar Hoover and them have been following him everywhere he goes. Every time he got in bed, every drink of water he had. And they said, take your own life. And he said, no, you come and get me. I'm of another cut of cloth than you are. And J. Edgar Hoover is one of the worst of the bastards that this nation had. And we need to understand what a Hoover means.
That guy wrote more federal law than Trump and everybody else out here could put together. J. Edgar Hoover.
That's right.
He knew about Martin's fallibility, because Martin was a man.
A human, yes.
Period.
That's right.
And he figured that by threatening Martin, by exposing this woman in Queens and other women, that he's going to get him, well, I can't face the music, I'll just do myself in. No. There were threats that Malcolm got at his home regularly. They bombed his house, but there were threats that he got regularly, threats against his wife, his children. So the only thing they could do was kill him. He wasn't going to kill himself. The promised land, we ain't got there yet. Because right now, our people are worse off now than they were 75 years ago. Our youth...
So what do we do to change it?
You see, the promised land is not even on the horizon.
You give me a system analysis
Amos
and study
Wilson
capitalism.
said, Amos Wilson was pushing us in the right direction. A brother who comes up from Mississippi, where miseducation is the name of the game. He survived that. And he was able to go to Morehouse, where Negro achievingness is the name of the game. And then after he got his education at Morehouse, he came up to the Big Apple, to New York, and Fordham or whatever school. He went to the Catholic Jesuit education. Now, he survived miseducation in Mississippi, Negro achievement education in Morehouse, and Jesuit education at Fordham. But he was moving to where he needed to go when we lost him. He was moving into an African consciousness. He had come up with a blueprint for black power, how we need to pull the pieces together. And the piece that he didn't have was the African component. It was for him. He was moving in that direction. But so when you look at his great work, think in terms of what it could be if you read it large, not just organizing Black America or some little islands in the Caribbean, but the richest continent in the history of the world and its related areas. So that's what we have to have a plan. And we should spend night and day neutralizing a Trump, but you can't make him the whole ball game. Life is going to take him out. He can't be here forever. But it's the systems
What about the election coming up this year?
Don't worry about it. Your people ain't going to get out there and vote no how. So ain't no need for you to have no heart attack. They didn't vote. They didn't vote.
That's the problem, there.
How many hundreds of thousands or millions?
You're not going to encourage them to vote?
I'm saying. But if you don't know what you're voting for, if you think you're voting for a Bernie and something's going to be different than from Buttigieg and from this one and that one and the other one.
That's how we got Trump.
No,
that's exactly how we got Trump, 2016.
No, the largest society of wealthy people wanted somebody like Trump, and they got him.
Right.
They put him in there just like...
I thought it was black people didn't vote.
It's the Electoral College for the 15th time.
Well, we know the Electoral College. There was 77,000 votes that didn't vote. And that changed the Electoral College.
No, it doesn't. The electors vote as they choose. They don't have to vote the way the group that they represent votes.
The Electoral College was chosen for 77,000 votes in the 3 different states where we lost that Electoral College vote.
Because we were sitting down complaining about we ain't got nothing to vote for, and 20,000 different votes in Michigan. But even if we had won and he had lost, we are not in a mindset to change the damn system. We're still going to play with the same system. We're not going to make demands on the system to change, so it's a creation of wealth
you're talking
for
like
everybody.
we shouldn't make an effort to try.
I'm not saying that. I wouldn't
thought
have
you
busted my back coming all the way from Newark, from Jersey. I should have gone home, but I said, no, my brother is going to have a nice program. I'm going to be up here. So I said, Simon, cut through the Holland Tunnel. We just came back, going over to Raz Baraka was speaking in Newark. The brother gave a fantastic breakfast for young men 2 days ago. It was magnificent. Now he was supposed to be speaking at Essex County College. And so I said, just let me get there just to be a presence there. But we couldn't get through the traffic, et cetera, because I was in this big court case. Right. So the struggle is there, but you have to have a program. You can't wait for the Democrats to produce a program for you. They never did, they never will. The Republicans won't produce, communists won't produce a program for you.
You have a
program is Africans taking control of Africans for Africans without apology and without having a national. Jamaican national doesn't mean a damn thing. Trinidadian national doesn't mean a damn thing. You're fighting over some island nationality that doesn't mean a damn thing, and you got a world there that you need to connect with.
The Prime Minister of Barbados said 4 months ago, most of the residents of Barbados came out of Ghana. They have the same names. They have now linked together these two countries, the island and the continent, and they are doing everything they can together.
To enhance
They're
each other.
going to give dual citizenship to Guyanese, and Guyanese are going to give citizenship to people out of Barbados. They've made their link. When I was in Gambia with Yahya Jammeh, he said to me, he said, Weatherspoon, if I had 10 men, we could change the continent. He said, my next door neighbor, because he was under the French domain and speaks French, he thinks he's French. He wants to be married to a white woman, and he thinks he's French. He said, that's as stupid as anything. He said, so as long as we have leadership on the continent thinking like that, he said, Africa can never move forward. And he was right. When I flew from Belgium down the coast over the Sahara, and then coming down the coast, it was very interesting to me. Along Mauritania, I could not, the ocean was flat. There were no waves. And the ocean melded right into the Sahara Desert. There was a thin line where I could see where the water's edge was, but there were no waves. We got south of there to where our people were extracted, waves. And I thought about the turbulence of our people. When I got off the plane, the only thing I could do was kneel down and kiss the ground. That was the only thing I could do. And I told the people, don't run out of here to go there and there and there, building up everybody else's stuff, and you leaving your stuff to rot. Don't run to Switzerland and Belgium and Germany and the United States. If you're going to get an education, get it, and you've got to come back here to build your country.
And don't run to the Arab nations because they
they are
have
your enemies.
a whole process of a new
Let's bring
slavery
it home
in place.
again. I'm going to play number 4, Gil Noble. You know, we had Chris Noble on last week.
Okay.
And,
Well,
I'm going to get this in with
You look
Malcolm.
like his uncle. You look like a part of the Noble clan. Just your persona.
Only reason I'm
and
here is
stuff.
because of Gil Noble.
Okay. Well, so I want you to claim him. Name him
I
and claim
do.
him. Okay, good.
I do. That's my man.
Good.
I'm here emulating him.
Good.
Nothing will they ever do. They will always talk it, but they won't practice it.
That was Malcolm arguing with Martin, but I've got only 15 minutes left, so play number 4.
I met the brother that made Malcolm's ring years ago.
Okay.
Number 4?
Now, did you hear what he said across the airways? He's American.
My first inoculation was Dr. King. And then that led me to Adam Powell and a lot of the people. But I was put off by Malcolm X.
Why?
Because what he was saying and the way he was saying it was too blunt. It was dangerous. And you didn't say those things in those days. I told you, we had been socialized as kids to get around wrong, not to confront it. And Malcolm spoke in very declarative terms, and he said some terrible things about white people that we thought, but you would never express it, you see. He talked about the way this country was not a democracy but a hypocrisy, and he talked about what had been happening to us down south and up south. And he was not shy. He had and he was very, very intimidating. I'm man enough to admit it. There are a lot of people who are my age who will speak, you know, with love about Malcolm as though it had always been that way, but that's not so. He scared a lot of us to death. And then, mind you, I had this apartment, a bachelor apartment on Convent Avenue, and I'd been having a lot of fun, you know. And here he comes talking about a different way of life. First of all, he dropped his last name. Well, we had been socialized to take great pride in our last name. The more European it sounded, the better. There was not a flinch about, you know, noble. Oh, that's wonderful. If it wasn't French enough, you'd put an ETT on it, you know, to make it sound more French. And so here's a man who dropped his good last name and replaced it with an X. I thought the man was crazy. And then he talked about discipline. And he talked
self-discipline?
Self-discipline. He said that we do not believe in drinking. And at the time I would have a taste. And he said that we don't smoke cigarettes with or without a label on them. And I would smoke, you know, with a label.
Yes.
And he said, we don't eat pork. Well, you know, I love me some ribs. And then he said, we don't fornicate.
Yes.
And so psychologically, I said, Malcolm, I'll see you later.
Yes.
You know, and all. But what he was doing in deprecating whiteness, I came to understand later that he was...
He was
Powerful, powerful.
Yes.
Gil, like you say, that's the only reason I'm sitting here. I felt there was a need to carry on his legacy, and I was so proud to have his son on last week and to go on in his tradition of bringing the truth to our people.
Speaking truth to
But
power.
still, I'm here in America dealing with these demons here. And I want to emphasize the fact that we as a people have to gather forces, no matter what system analysis we can think of. We need a system to improve the situation of America, democracy.
There's no
There's
such thing. American democracy is a misnomer.
There's an answer this year.
Okay.
Update yourself, Doc. We're not going to accomplish any of those theories, but, you know, it'll take time for that. I'm talking about this year and getting people out to vote and answering the census. All right? Be practical about this one. We do have a dog in this fight, because I don't want to live through another years of this man in the White House.
If you're going to live in America, you're going to be living with either him or a clone for him or somebody who says he's not him but turns out to be him. In other words,
Well, you're happy with Trump then.
Trump is not a specialized phenomenon. He's the reality of America.
It's the worst thing we've gotten so
well,
far.
Washington started it, and the person who carried it on was Thomas
We're not
Jefferson.
talking about back then. We're talking about today.
I'm talking about going through the history. You can take Teddy Roosevelt. You can take FDR. You can take Kennedy.
Well,
None of them
you didn't
had anything in the game
What about
for us.
Obama? You didn't appreciate Obama when he
what
was
can
there.
one black man do against the system? He was brought in by the system.
He did the best he could.
He did, and the best he could without a systems analysis meant he could do little, except superficially having us feel good that there was black children in the White House, and nobody talked about it more than I. A beautiful black woman in the White House.
If we had gotten together a little bit more, we could have done better with that.
You know,
we had a chance to change things with him in the White House.
We had Malcolm, we had Martin, we had Marcus Garvey, we had hundreds of people. A house sits on a foundation.
Did we have a black president? I'm talking about a black president.
We had one, all right? 1 out of 45.
In my lifetime.
1. Period. Not your lifetime. Period. 1. The foundation of this country,
What do we do about the election in November? That's what I want to hear.
the foundation of this country is what we're resting on today, and it is the perpetuation of that foundation.
What do we do to change it?
Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln all said that the colored, the Negro, the black was not their equal and should always be subservient to them.
That was back then. How about
That
today?
is today.
It's not today. Because that's not true. That's not true.
If that's not true, then why do you have racism?
You can always have racism.
No, it's
What is it predicated
institutionalized. You went
we
to
have
school.
racism against
you
each
went
other.
to school and there
You're
were
not
no
racist
books
against
like this.
yourself.
No, but
We have
Christopher
prejudice against
Christopher
each other.
Columbus
Get your
helped
meanings
to
right.
initiate
We're fighting
enslavement.
about light
He's
and
not.
dark.
He discovered America. How the hell can you discover America when there's two continents, North and South? With millions
How
of
many
people,
centuries ago was
you
that?
discovered it.
Update
You were
yourself.
lost.
Deal with
You
today.
were lost
Right,
in their
never
family.
found India.
20,
Indians
20.
are in India.
Yes.
That's the only
I
place
want to
you're
hear
going to find
solutions for
Indian.
2020.
Well, we're saying one thing: you have to have a
Is
mind.
there a solution?
Yes, a mindset, and a
Okay.
mindset is not
The
going to happen.
mindset is the vote.
It's not going. No, it's not.
What is it then?
It is not, because you can vote, but if you don't have a program to educate your people and pull them together and let them get a share of the pie, and they don't. Ras Baraka made one of the greatest speeches I've ever heard anybody made a couple of days ago.
You know
to
who should
take
be
control of where you
know
are.
who I would make president? Hakeem Jeffries.
No, don't
What's
play
your-
that.
you
Don't
got your
play that.
nephew in
he's
the
a
middle
brilliant,
of the
yes,
beast
and the system
doing
will
what?
eat him up if he's not protected. They don't give a damn about how brilliant he is or what he's doing, and neither do black folk.
When I met
So,
with Barack
you're making
Obama
some-
in 2007
So
in
there's no-
Brooklyn, I said to him, I said, oh, you have Secret Service protection? He says, yeah. I said, no, you don't. He said, oh, I do. I said, the people guarding you are from the New Jersey office. And he looked at me like, how do you know that? I said, not only do I know they're from New Jersey, I know that they don't like black people.
That's right.
Because they had a black supervisor that they got rid of because they didn't want some black person telling them what to do. And that black man ran the White House under the Clintons. All right? I said, if you think that you're somebody special, you're an attorney. The federal court in Washington has a case, it was pending at that time, brought by the black Secret Service agents against the Secret Service and the Department of Justice because they were being called niggers in their own offices. So I said, if a black man is a nigger in the office of the Secret Service working to protect the president, I said to Barack Obama, I said, who do you think you are? Do not trust yourself, your wife, or your children to these people. And repeatedly, you saw scenarios where a guy got up to the second floor of the White House. A guy is doing sign language in South Africa. A couple walks into a dinner. Look, this is their agenda.
Right.
And if you don't know the rules of the game and how to play the game, then you ain't in the game. And this is not a democracy. No white man could vote in this country unless he owned land. It wasn't even about his race. He had to be a land owner. Of the people,
What
by the
about-
people, and for the people who set this corporation up. And that's what a country is.
And
it's a corporation.
It's
Listen
rich
to you
white
guys,
men with
I-
property and power. It's not even rich white
So what do
women.
we do about it?
We have
And
to
it's not
understand.
for white men.
What do we do about it?
We have to understand what we're
You're
in.
going to tell me a
and
system analysis.
Come
What
up
do
with
we
a
do
plan.
about 2020, the election coming up this year? Give me a solution for that.
You have a good candidate running.
What does that have to do with 2020?
No, you're talking about solutions. Do you have a good candidate running?
We have to find one. Anything's better than
Well,
Trump.
you have 6 out there now or so, but do you have a good one?
Any of them is better than Trump.
So we're willing to pick from the trash heap like the raccoons on the commercials
Exactly.
in the garbage pail.
Exactly.
Oh, this tastes like burnt hair and chutney.
Exactly.
Right. So this
Exactly.
is
That's-
now you're
that's-
beginning to realize you've been fed
you would
garbage.
rather
and
see
we've-
Trump back in
we've-
there?
We've been picking in the garbage for hundreds
What
of
happened
years.
last time? Hillary hating.
Hillary got caught cheating. That's what she got.
What about Trump?
We know about Trump. Hillary
We
got
don't know about
caught.
you.
Hillary
Oh,
got caught.
God. See, this is the problem. right here.
She was being
This
fed.
is why we are where we are.
You're right. Now you need to go back and study history and stop complaining like a
studying.
whining old woman.
What? Are you crazy?
Hillary got caught cheating. She got caught cheating.
What is wrong with you?
What was the black woman who was feeding her the answers for the debate?
Right.
And then she got caught stabbing
Graham,
Bernie and doing what they were doing. And people did not like that because she fulfilled Donald's prophecy.
No,
it's a scam.
What are you, crazy,
No, I'm
man?
not stupid. I'm not as dumb as you might think I am.
Brother, it's good that we're putting the heat to the question because it's real.
Whining.
I asked you a good candidate. Do you have a good candidate?
You're not defined by that.
Anybody's better than Trump. You hear me?
Winston?
Now, own up to this.
One
Winston?
slave master is the same as a slave
Fool,
master.
if we
you
get
might be able to survive a few more.
Whining like a woman. You got to be out of your...
How can you throw that off? He put that out there. Just throw it off. This is your show. You've done a powerful job, but there's no way the two of us, we have our own thoughts and ideas, and don't make it personal, because we love you and the work that you're doing. We love your family and everything else. I love you putting my wife on, but systems is what it is.
There's a solution, man. Voting.
Well, you
Whatever
have to,
candidate
you have
is
to have,
in there.
No, you have
I
to
don't
have
want any
you
excuses
have to have
about
a black
Hillary being...
You have to have a black system that can deliver.
You're not voting for Hillary. What happened last time, Graham?
Winston, Hillary did herself in. It ain't me. I didn't do it. And once again, the Electoral College picks the president. You have never.
You were proud of being you and the rest of them.
You have never elected a president. You have never and you never will.
Did you hear what he said? The Electoral College was purposely put in place so rich white men, they didn't want a democracy. That's why they put an Electoral College in place.
Listen, you two guys will never get anywhere.
You're not getting anywhere. You can't because this is the way they.
I'm not going to give up like you guys.
All right? If you want to play basketball, read the rule book.
You're
this
giving
is your
up.
rule book. Read your rule book.
Problems here. Talking about what happened.
You need to talk about becoming an elector, getting in the Electoral College, so there you can cast your vote.
Listen, people. Listen to me very carefully. Go out and vote for whoever's the Democrat nominee. I don't care who he is. Anything is better than Trump. I don't care what they say here. You listen to me. All right? The God in me loves the God in you. And the devil in me is going to kick butt. Or the rest of the devils out there. Any other devil.
Oh, this is his show. We're glad to be a part of it. He's our brother. He's our brother.
You mad?
I'm not mad. I'm talking sense. Here's your bullet.
Right.
If you need another one, I'll give you another.
And we don't want you to take it out on your family. Go home and get married. And people say, what happened?
I don't know about
Dr. J wasn't there.
Right here.
You use the vote when you can, but understand the system that you're voting with. This country was set up for rich white men with property and power.
We know that.
3/5 clause has nothing to do with that.
Who we got in the White House now?
3/5 clause has
in the White House now? You would settle and be happy with this mother man there again?
Does not mean you got 3/5 of a vote. You had no vote. Even when they gave you the vote, they took it away from you and gave it to the corporate structure.
People can't vote now. They're still purging the voting rolls in Ohio
You don't show
and
any kind of
Pennsylvania.
hope. You don't show any kind of hope.
We hope.
You want to go to Africa. I want to stay here in New York City.
No, wherever black people are, I want to go.
You paying attention to everybody? You got somebody, last time you were on the phone, you had somebody coming here calling your daddy from Africa. How about somebody in New York calling your daddy?
They do. I got enough of them. Granted, they call me. You need to listen to my phone. What do you think? It's only people in Africa who understand the spirit that I have. Wherever I go, I operate the same way.
That is gone. Bronx in a second. Power to the people. God be with you. And vote.
The struggle continues.
God help you.
Wakanda forever. And black power.